There in Midian, he met a really, really nice family, and he stayed with them, and he became a shepherd. A shepherd is a person who takes care of sheep and goats and other domestic animals. Moses also had a family. He married Zipporah, a very nice young woman. And he was really happy there in Midian. His life was peaceful and nice. But something happened one day. One day, Moses was outside tending to the sheep, and suddenly he saw something really, really strange. He saw a bush. And there would be nothing strange about seeing a bush. There were lots of bushes around, but this bush was on fire. It was all covered in flames, but it stayed fresh and green inside. It wasn't burning down. Moses was curious, so he came closer, and suddenly he heard a voice coming from the bush. The voice said, "Moses, I am your God and God of your fathers. You must go back to Egypt. You must go talk to Pharaoh and tell him to let the Jewish people go. You must free the Jewish people." But Pharaoh is not going to listen to me, and Jewish people are not going to listen to me either. They don't really know me. I'm just a person. How can I do that? I'm afraid. "Don't be afraid," the God's voice said. "I will come with you and will be with you every step of the way." So Moses said, "Okay, I will listen and I will do as you say." So Moses got ready to go back to Egypt. He took his family with him, and whatever belongings he had, he packed everything and started his journey through the desert all the way back to Egypt. Meanwhile, Jewish people were working harder and harder. Pharaoh made them work harder and harder every day, making their life more and more miserable. And look at the Pharaoh himself. Look at his beautiful life that he led. He had everything he needed and more. He had people to do everything for him. People who would cook for him and people who would dress him. And when the Pharaoh got hot, because it was very hot in Egypt, he had special people who would make him cooler with special fans. So everything was done for the Pharaoh. He had lots of treasures and jewels, and he even had some secrets in his palace. Look at that, secret doors where he could hide and have fun. So Pharaoh's life was really, really nice. See? A secret door. Moses went straight to Pharaoh's palace to speak to Pharaoh. "Oh, that's you, Moses," said Pharaoh. "What do you want? What are you doing here?" "I am here to tell you that the God of Jewish people says to let his people go. You must let the Jewish people go. They do not want to be slaves anymore." "Ha!" Pharaoh started laughing. "And who are you and who's your God to tell me what to do? I am the most powerful man in the whole world. And I don't know your God, and I don't scared of him." Beware," said Moses. "Some bad things are gonna happen. You will get punished if you won't listen to our God." "I don't care," the Pharaoh said. "I'm not scared of your God. Go away before I punish you." So beware, Moses said, and he left. And bad things started happening. God really wanted to punish Pharaoh and the Egyptians for being so mean and unkind to the Jewish people. So first, all the waters in Egypt turned red. And yuck! So Egyptian people couldn't wash, they couldn't drink. And the Pharaoh, of course, couldn't wash and drink either. So Pharaoh called Moses and said, "Moses, take this plague away, and I'm gonna let the Jewish people go." All right, said Moses. But the moment the waters got clean and blue again, Pharaoh changed his mind and said, Jewish people must stay and work even harder. And then other things happened. There were 10 plagues, 10 punishments altogether. There were frogs that covered everything in Egypt. They were everywhere, not just outside, but inside the houses, and in the kitchen, and in the food, and on the bed, and on Pharaoh's head too. So Pharaoh got so annoyed, he called Moses and said, Moses, take the frogs away, and I'm going to let the Jewish people go. Okay, said Moses. Remember to keep your promise. But the moment all the frogs were out of the homes, Pharaoh changed his mind again. And then came the hail. And then came locusts that ate all the Egyptian people's food. They were eating everything on their way. And there the domestic animals got sick. The cows, the goats, the sheep, the dogs and cats. All of them got sick. And then the wild animals were roaming all over Egypt, getting into the houses, scaring the Egyptian people. And every time Pharaoh would call Moses and say, I'll let the Jewish people go, just take the plague away. And when the plague was away, he would change his mind. But finally, after the 10th plague, Pharaoh called Moses and said, I've had enough. I can't stand it anymore. Take the Jewish people away. I never want to see you again. Go away from Egypt. All right, said Moses. So he went back to Jewish people and said, quickly, we have to really pack only what we really need, and we have to leave right away, because Pharaoh might change his mind again. So let's pack quickly and let's go. So Jewish people didn't really have much. Remember, they were slaves. So they packed whatever they had. They took their families, they took their children, and all the Jewish people followed Moses through the desert. It was a long, long walk. They were trying to go as fast as they could, but because they had some older people and children, and they didn't want to leave anyone behind, so they were going as fast as they could, but still it took a long, long, long time. And it was really, really hard to walk through the desert, because during the day, the desert gets so hot. It's scorching hot. And then during the night, it gets very cold in the desert. The Jewish people were determined to leave Egypt and to leave Pharaoh, because they did not want to be slaves anymore. They wanted to be free from Pharaoh and free to be Jewish. So they had to stop from time to time to rest, but just for a few minutes, and then they would continue walking. They got a big wide sea. In Hebrew, it's called Yam Suf, the Sea of Reeds, but we call it Red Sea. So they came to a sea. The sea was so big and so wide. Jewish people got scared, and they said, Moses, so what are we going to do now? We don't have boats or rafts. We can't swim across the sea. It's too wide. We can't even see the other shore. What are we going to do? Even worse, suddenly they heard some bumping and stomping behind. Guess what happened? Pharaoh changed his mind, and now he was chasing Jewish people with his army. So what are we going to do? The Jewish people said. The Red Sea is in front of us, and Pharaoh's army is behind us. There's nothing, nowhere for us to go. Who's gonna save us? So Moses looked at the Jewish people and said, don't worry. God has been with us all this time. God's not gonna leave us alone. So Moses prayed to God, and God said, Moses, take your staff, your walking stick, and touch the water of the Red Sea. And that's what Moses did. And the moment he touched the waters split open. There was a wall of water on one side, and the wall of water on the other side, and in the middle there was a dry path. so the Jewish people can cross the sea to the other side. Moses was the first one to step on the path, and Jewish people followed him all the way to the other side. Of course, Pharaoh and his army saw it. "Ha ha," Pharaoh said, "we're gonna chase the Jewish people all the way to the other side of the Red Sea." But the moment all the Jewish people were on the other side, Moses touched the waters again, and they closed, and there was no more path. So the Pharaoh and his army could not chase the Jewish people. Jewish people were free, free from Pharaoh, free from being slaves. Now they could live their Jewish life freely, without being scared of anyone. They could speak Hebrew and celebrate Jewish holidays, and their children can be happy and healthy. So they were so happy that Moses' sister started singing a song, and she led everybody into a dance. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 la 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 la. And this is the end of our story for now. Bye. Shalom.